Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday nightcap edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, John McMullen, and we are wrapping up day number 2 of joint practices with the Eagles and the Browns. Not very pretty today, apparently, everybody. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Thursday evening, brother?
I'm doing well, probably better than the Eagles, at least the
Uh-oh.
Eagles offense. Defensively, there's some issues as well, but we'll talk about that. But yeah, not a great productive 2 days for the offense, I would say, except the running game. The running game's great. From what you can tell, obviously with people not tackling to the ground, but Saquon sat out team drills today, so a little bit different. And I spent most of my time watching the defense because I watched the offense yesterday.
Yeah, and you said it was a letdown. We all expected you were going defensive today.
Yeah, so I did go defensive. And everybody I talked to after the practice, though, was like, ugh. At one point, they threw four consecutive passes in the flat to AJ Dillon. I'm like, what are we doing here? I don't know. It's like that, and I've come to the conclusion. I just wrote about it for people that want to see, and si.com/NFL/Eagles. To call this offense vanilla is like too adventurous. That's too adventurous of a flavor. All they do is run inside zone and count up the numbers in the box. And
is there a flavor less adventurous than vanilla?
Well, that's the point. That's how it's too adventurous, vanilla. That's the description I give this offense. Completely about execution. Forget about all the bullshit about evolution and motion.
Right.
Doing that.
Well, maybe
they're just gonna out execute people.
How do you view that? How do you view that perspective? Execution.
Well, they won last year doing it. Same thing.
It'll be hard to do again, though. No, I mean, come on, we got to be realistic here.
Well, Saquon's looked better this year than last year in training camp. So I don't know. Well, Landon, by the way, one of the positives, he's already out there day after surgery, bringing beer to share with the Browns offensive line after the practice. Moving better than half the people there. That dude's amazing. So good early indications on Landon Dickerson. And as long as you got those 4 guys and Tyler Steen, we don't know what he's going to be, but he'll be fine, I think. As long as you have those guys, you're good. Except when Miles shows up.
Yeah, we'll get into all that. We got plenty to talk about tonight. Johnny Mac characterizes the offense as less flavorful than vanilla. That would be too great of a characterization. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this defense as well, what John saw from that side. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here this evening. I'm sure we have a great crowd and we'll have a great crowd throughout the duration of the show. We'll be live till about 8 p.m. here on Birds 365. So we got you for the next hour and 55 minutes around and change. And practice number 2, John, is in the books. And before we get into some of the nitty gritty, am I allowed to be mad, John, that we didn't win the joint practice with the Browns? I mean, I know everybody's, it's just practice. All right. I want to win everything, for crying out loud. And you're telling me we got our ass beat by the Cleveland Browns?
Well, yeah, I don't believe in winning practice. So, I don't know what did Elliott declare a winner or a loser?
A better team than them or not, though?
Yeah, they're a better team. They're a better team.
Okay.
But it's amazing that, a team that won 3 games, and again, I bring it up all the time when you talk, like everybody on the planet knows what Myles Garrett is. They won 3 games. That the talent level between NFL teams is so close. It ended up being 4 or 5 players, from being the top team like the Eagles to being one of the bottom teams like Cleveland. And certainly a big part of that is quarterback. The Browns are a mess at the quarterback position. Oh, Elliott did declare the Browns the winners. So
Okay.
I guess
I
they're the
didn't know. I
winners.
didn't know that. I
guess they're the winners.
well,
I'm
I
joking.
just heard. I'm reading from some of the beat reporters. I'm reading from you, Johnny Mac. I'm reading from Eddie Kratz, and I'm like, holy shit! I didn't expect the Browns to beat up on the Super Bowl champion Eagles.
Well, part of it is, I think, earlier in my notes I wrote about that. Welcome to being the Super Bowl champions, because I think even in practice, people are trying to put their best foot forward.
Right.
I mean, the Browns are running hook and ladders and throwback passes on one field, and the Eagles are dumping off in the flat on another field.
Right.
Like they're really going all out, and yeah, it showed up. There's a bunch of touchdowns, a lot of red zone work today. So you're in you should get some touchdowns, and the Eagles didn't, and the Browns did. So I mean, if you want to declare a winner, I guess you have to give it to the Browns, but that's not what practice is about.
No, it's not. It's not. But it's. I think still there's a desire to win, or to at least to be great, to put your best foot forward. I don't know if it matters or not. Probably doesn't. I know it's practice, but we'll kind of dive into all of it. You started, John, with a comment. I wanted to start on the defense, and we will get there. But you started with talking about the offense, and vanilla is too powerful a flavor to talk about this offense. And apparently, John, Myles Garrett just ruined the day today. It didn't matter if it was Mailata or somebody else. He didn't care.
Well, the funny thing is, yesterday, Lane didn't practice today, just a rest day, so no concern there. But yesterday, he moved back and forth from his normal. He plays mainly over the right. He plays mainly right end, so that Jordan Mailata, but he moves over, he flips over, and he had some reps against Lane. They could have really, because Matt Pryor was playing right tackle. Matt's a good player, but man, they could have really ruined the practice if they flipped him over. Yeah. I mean, Cam Jurgens, I was telling you before, just the greatest. Cam's awesome. And he's playing center. And I asked him basically, do you get a feeling, because he's an interior guy, and that when he's out there, and this was what Cam said, he's an alien out there. Just watching him move, it reminds me of a predator with some ice skates running through the grass. I don't even know what that means, but I pictured it from the Predator from the movie. That's right. With some ice skates, and it's like perfect. That's what he looks like. And it was just perfect. And my guy, and the way Jordan talked, he was gushing about him so much, and he had to stop himself. Jordan Mailata, he was like, "What's going to happen when you watch the film?" And he said, "I'll get a giggle. I'll get a giggle out of it. To be honest, I'm just standing like our first buck of the day. What the fuck? Sorry, I did my job, and yet I still got beat. How is he still down around my knees, and he's still bending the corner?" He starts the rush in a 4-point stance, and by the time he's 4 yards upfield, he's still at the same height. It's kind of like, what am I supposed to do there? Just jump on him? Not even that's possible. Just carry me to the quarterback. That's the shit you're talking about. And these are all Pro Bowl players. Talking about Myles Garrett. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts has and I said, nobody game plans for practice. Nobody game plans for preseason, never mind practice. But you almost have to just run away from them and dump the ball off, even though the quarterback's running a red shirt, if you want to get a valuable rep. Amazing player.
He really is an amazing
wasted on that team.
I know. I tweeted that today. It's a shame his whole career is going to happen in Cleveland. It really does.
And that's part of my thing I always talk about. Like, I could say all this shit about Myles Garrett, and everybody will back it up. Cam will back it up. Jordan, you don't have to listen to me. Listen to them. And everybody's like, yeah, Myles Garrett, he's great. because but quarterback's different, as we know. But he's the best. He's the best edge rusher in football, and number 2 is like not close. And he's on a 3-win team. Again, now last year, obviously they've had some better seasons, but football's the ultimate team game, as Nick calls it. And if the Eagles were playing them in the regular season, they would game plan and they would chip them on every play and do everything possible to slow them down, and they probably do a good job of it. But boy, it's almost like stop the joint practices with Cleveland until he's gone.
I know, strictly because of Myles Garrett. It doesn't say anything about Mailata, right? I mean, what can you do?
No,
yeah,
like it like that was.
Does it highlight as much as good as we talk about Mailata, and I mean no disrespect to him, he's an amazing player, an amazing story, but this guy Myles Garrett's in a different world, John.
Yeah, that Jordan also. He's one of one. He's one of one. One of one. That's what Jordan said. So it's like, again, what the F? Sorry, I did my job and I still get beat. You do everything correctly,
right?
And you're still getting beat.
I saw Jimmy Kempski tweet that he was basically pulling up every play to not ruin the play.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. You can't even gauge that the receptions that do work down the field, which weren't many, because he's there, and he's pulling up. Because he knows how to practice. He's not going to kill the quarterback. Yeah, amazing player. Would have been fun. It would have been fun if they could have pulled that off.
Oh man, does anybody regret saying I don't want to give up Nolan Smith to get my?
Oh my God, and I said it at the time, and
you did. You were like, you guys are fucking insane. I think is what you said, literally.
It's nothing against Nolan Smith. I mean, it's as Jordan said, one of one. Nobody else is close.
No doubt about it. John, what else did the offense do today? We're going to dive into the defense. I know you had better eyes on the defense today, so we're going to dive into that. Obviously, we got some concerns there. But just anything else on the offense? I mean, you described them as not a very good description, I think, if you're looking at it from the outside. Myles Garrett, record practice. Not much. I mean, 4 straight dump offs to A.J. Dillon. I'm not sure what that's helping in a practice window. I don't know. Maybe it's just practicing not making the wrong play, I guess.
Maybe. I mean,
I feel like that description is no longer.
There was a lot of red zone work, and they didn't have a freaking touchdown. I mean, that's not good. Now, again, AJ's not out there, so we all know it. To me, it was, and I started off. It was like Groundhog Day, but it was Inception inside of Groundhog Day, because that's what we're talking about. They're an awesome running team. And the passing game looked like a pop gun. So it looked like the Carolina game, the Green Bay game, the Rams game, the 120-yard passing games. That's what it looked like. So that's what it looked like.
Is there any concern on Kevin Patullo here? This guy's been the passing game coordinator for 3 straight years. Now he's the offensive coordinator, and you're telling me they can't score a touchdown in the freaking red zone in practice?
Well, you saw it last year, so it does. You saw it with Shane, you saw it with Nick, you saw it with Brian, you saw it with Kellen. Now you'll see it with Kevin. It's the same offense,
right? As much as a new mind, a new passing guy comes in and tries to, they all keep falling back to the same things.
Well, they fall back because they're good coaches, and they fall back into what they do well.
Right? Yeah, I'm good with that. But does it highlight on the other side of it, something that the offense is missing that could increase?
Well, I don't know if it's missing, when you win basically almost every game.
Well, last year was last year, John, and they had the number 1 defense in football. Now we'll talk about the defense, but I don't know if they're ready to do that again.
Well, I agree with that. And from that perspective, things might have to change, and they will change if they have to change, and they have to do sort of in between last year and 2023 when they collapsed. They have to figure out how to work the passing game when they need it to an effective level. Look, I think A.J. Brown, number one, he's not out there, as I said. That's the biggest contextual piece of this. Not to mention Lane and Landon Dickerson weren't out there, and Saquon wasn't. Saquon only did individuals. So you're talking about, think about those four players: A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson. They weren't out there.
No, those are probably four of your top 6 or 7 offensive players.
Yeah, so I'm not too worried about it, but I'm also not going to lie. It's and it's the same when they're in there. It's a very vanilla offense. But it's effective when they're in there because those guys are just better than their opponents 99% of the time. And that's why I say this offense is about execution, not about evolution or creativity.
We'll see what they can do coming up in this year, you know, the offense being what they are right now. Does it concern you at all that, I mean, A.J. Brown not on the field, and it's just like, it's almost like the offense just they don't have a chance if AJ Brown, like it's weird. Like I know he's a great player. I'm not trying to take away from what AJ Brown is, but I don't feel like we should become that. And I know you missed more players today, but it does feel like every time AJ Brown's not out there, man, they can't do a damn thing.
No, that doesn't bother me because he's gonna be ready for the regular season. So, you know, this happens throughout the league now where one of your really good players tweaks something and you just shut him down. You know, Jefferson, same thing right now. He's shut down. They completely shut him down. They're not going to risk it. And that's what the Eagles are doing with AJ. I don't know if they're going to completely shut him down. I presume he's going to be back. And I presume Jefferson's going to be back. But, you know, to prep for the start of the regular season in practice. So 2 weeks, basically. And I'm fine with that. If he's not back for that, then I'd be a little bit concerned. But he'll be back for that.
Yeah, I think so as well. You heard Saquon Barkley. I think he had the quote today. If there's one guy I'm not worried about at all, it's that guy. So that's AJ Brown. That's Saquon Barkley talking about AJ Brown. We will see. Shout out to Myles Garrett. He's an amazing player, obviously, and that's a guy you tip the cap to. When you destroy Jordan Mailata over and over again, yeah, you're rarefied air, and I think we all know that. John, moving on to the defensive side of the ball. The more I read, the more my concerns grow on the defensive side of the ball. What did you see today for the Eagles defense?
Well, number one, they essentially, if you could bench somebody in practice, they benched Ringo. I did not see him get one first-team rep
Wow.
for the first time in this camp. Dory Jackson was the first-team corner, and then Jacorian Bennett rotated in. And then the second team was, you know, Eli Ricks also didn't get any work, which is surprising to me.
So was it just Jacorian and Adoree, or?
Well, the second team was no, the first team was, yes, just Adoree and Jacorian. The second team was Jacorian and McWilliams to start. And then finally, towards the end, Ringo.
Wait. So first team was Quinion and Adoree to start. And second team was
Jacorian and McWilliams.
So Keely Ringo didn't even start on the second team defense today.
No. And he didn't get many reps at all. Neither did Eli Ricks. They finally came in and mixed in with the second team at the end. And it was a short practice, I should say that. It was only 66 minutes.
Okay. Yesterday was an hour 45, so about 40 minutes less.
So it was a lot shorter, but I was still stunned. Just the lack of reps that Keely Ringo got, and to a lesser extent, Eli Ricks. So, and by the way, Bennett did not look good. You know, did not look good. McWilliams did not look good. So, it wouldn't surprise me. And we've lost Zander. Hopefully, you can hear me. Yeah, you're back.
I'm back, right?
Yeah. So your
Yeah, my
camera went dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the standpoint of they didn't look good, so it wouldn't surprise me. The game is obviously this is the last practice. They're going to have a walkthrough tomorrow. The game, it's going to be interesting. I assume they're not entrenched, so I assume guys like Ringo and Ricks are going to play. And Bennett needs to play, obviously. We'll see if Adoree plays or if he's gotten to the point. He's got to be your starting corner right now. There's no other option. There's no other option than Adoree Jackson. And it didn't sound like Vic was enthralled with that thought process, but the other guys are just playing themselves out of a job, it seems. So that's pretty bad. I thought there was some good from Sidney Brown, though, especially in the red zone. He looks good when he gets to go downhill, which I think makes some sense. Like he was great in run fits. He had a big hit on Harold Fannin, who had a big day, by the way.
But now, can you tell me about that hit with Harold Fannin? Because I read something that concerns me, and it was from Tim McManus, John, and he tweeted, "Notes from today: an active day for Sidney Brown, as you just said. He shouldered tight end Harold Fannin to the ground following a completion near the boundary. Shouldn't he be wrapping people up? He has a propensity."
Well, I think you're using the sideline as a
right. It's a different circumstance.
Yeah, it's a different. Yeah, it's not the middle of the field. In middle of the field, as he was closing, a lot of running plays in the red zone. So as he was closing, he would wrap up. So I think, yeah, he was just using the sideline. I didn't think that it was a big deal. Now, the question with Sidney Brown is not downhill and physicality. That's what we know he can do. The question is in space, which is why they drafted Makuba, because they think he's comfortable in space in coverage. So that is still to be determined. But again, Harold Fannin beat Makuba for a touchdown. Again, using his body, using his size. I don't think Makuba's proving to be ready yet early on. So yeah, it wasn't a great day for the defense either. And then there's the weird dichotomy, like the past few weeks, past week, a few days this week. Jalix Hunt has been working at the left, they call it overhang, where Nolan Smith is a starter. He's been on the second team. Today it was Uche, it was Ojulari first, Uche, and even Obo working at right end. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe that's it was a lot of red zone. Maybe that's their maybe they want more, I don't know, something.
Do they not like Jalix on that side? Does he not like it? Is he not comfortable? I mean, I feel like that's where he played last year when he did get the reps last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he's played mainly this year. It took him a long time before they flipped him over to the left side. So that's why, I mean, that ultimately they want to cross train. So that part doesn't surprise me because ultimately you want to be able to move Nolan from side to side. And if you want to do that, you have to move, Jalix has to do similar to cornerbacks. So that part doesn't surprise me that they're trying to get him some reps over there. But the fact that Aziz and Josh and Oba are getting the first team reps surprised me, all of them. So yeah, it doesn't seem, and I mentioned it this morning on the drive in, it seems instead of it's supposed to be contracting, it's expanding at all these positions. And I don't think that's a good sign.
No, it's not, because if people were seizing the job and seizing the moment, then it would be lessening, no doubt about it. John, let's go to Keely Ringo here. Concern has got to be growing rapidly, not only for us and not only for the people listening to the show right now, but I got to think inside the NovaCare complex. I mean, Keely Ringo doesn't get a first team rep today. He doesn't start on the second team. I mean, if you use that example that I loved, a GPS. If he was their GPS set, I mean, things are not looking good for Keely Ringo, John, and that cornerback 2 spot.
No, they're not. They're not.
Is there a solution? Is there a thought process that outside the organization exists? I know they already made the trade, but hey, maybe they would go to the open market on a guy that's not signed, and you don't have to give up an asset.
Well, I think at some point, if you give up on Keely Ringo, maybe you look to trade him for a different piece. But
what's he worth on the open market right now?
Well, not much. You'd be looking at not at they'd be looking would be player for player. So
okay,
if somebody needed a cornerback and you're trying to bring back an edge rusher and they're deep at edge rusher, that type of deal. But he is still very important on special teams. He's the first team vice defender, as they call it, the first team gunner on kickoff, on the vice defender on kickoff returns, punt returns. He's their top gunner. So, but let's be honest, that's not where they expected to be with this particular player. So, yeah, it's difficult. Maybe he's trying to light a fire under him. Keely's sort of understated, not the most vocal guy. Sometimes Quignon's not the most vocal guy, but he shows up on the field. By the way, he got beat by Jerry Jeudy. First time all summer I've seen him beat. Jerry Jeudy got him pretty good on back-to-back plays. So it wasn't the best day.
Back-to-back plays.
Yeah, it wasn't the best day for the defense either. Yeah, Jeudy got him for what probably would have been a touchdown. You never know, again, if people are going to tackle you, but probably would have been a touchdown. And
sounds like we got our ass handed to us today by the Browns. And that's what it sounds like to me. I know you're John and you're a reporter and you don't think about it like that, which is perfectly fine. But to me, it sounds like we got our ass throttled by the Browns today in practice.
Well, like Judy's really good. With corners eventually going to get beat. So yeah, I don't worry about it. Then the back-to-back, the second play slipped, but Jeudy was wide open, and it didn't work anyway because Flacco overthrew it. But he beat Quignon pretty badly. But that's a good player. Again, all NFL teams have good players, and I think too many fans don't recognize that. And if you're lined up against Jerry Jeudy, he's going to beat you.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I think that's one instance. It sounds like those instances happened all over the field on both sides of the football all day long.
Well, yeah. Well, offensively was, a shit show.
I mean, was Joe Flacco throwing? I saw someone put, and I know you don't like the stats, and I don't really like them either, but I did see someone say he had 4 touchdown passes on this defense.
Yeah, they had a bunch of touchdowns. Yeah, Fanning got one, Jeudy got one, as I mentioned. Who else? Oh, and Njoku beat Jahad Campbell, the other freak they have.
Yeah, Njoku, he's a freak too.
Yeah. And there was a 4th from I think Tillman. So yeah, they had a bunch of touchdowns against the Eagles defense, and the Eagles offense had 0 to my knowledge. Now, again, I didn't watch I didn't watch much of the offense, but those are secondhand reports. But to my knowledge, they didn't get in the end zone once, which, yeah, it's not a positive practice. I don't think yesterday, first day, I think it was positive from the standpoint of they were just dominating them in the run game, which is boring and all that, but they're still dominating. Today it was, I would say a better day for Cleveland.
Cleveland has a good day today at practice. John, who else stuck out on the defense? You mentioned Jahad Campbell. I think we always do an update on him and what we're seeing from him, his progression, and where we are, in terms of the start of the season coming. I still think, John, as well as Trotter's done this camp, that there is still an opportunity if Jahad Campbell gets ready or gets up to speed, that they would get him on the football field quickly. Does it look like that could happen? What's the update on Jahad Campbell?
Yeah, I still, he talked today, and he was talking about, he was talking to Miles, and he said, um, two freaks getting together talking. I'm like, oh, slow down, big guy. Don't compare yourself to Miles.
Yeah.
Um,
Jahan, I got high expectations for you, but
yeah, just slow it down. I would say that he is a very good athlete, and you see that, and it's noticeable. But I do have some concerns over him in coverage. As I mentioned, he got beat by Njoku today, which is not the worst thing in the world. But earlier in camp, the Eagles were giving Small Munden a lot of coverage reps because they seemed to think that he was ahead from that standpoint, not ahead overall, but from that standpoint, situationally. So I think there's still a ways to go. I mean, if I'm playing week 1 tomorrow, I'm playing Jeremiah Trotter because Zach will be back. Zach, he's back in a limited way, but he'll be one of the starters in linebacker, and my other starter would be Jeremiah Trotter for early in the season at least.
Right.
And then if he starts to falter, then maybe you throw Campbell into the deep end of the pool and see what it looks like. But I think they have some time and continued development, but wasn't. And again, it's amazing for how bad people think Cleveland is, and then you look over there and they just got a bunch of dudes, as they say,
right.
At certain positions. I mean, and Njoku's like a legitimate great player. Judy's really good. Miles is Miles. So
Denzel Ward's a good player. How's the matchup with him been?
Well, they didn't test him. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I read Ed Kratz today. He's like they didn't throw the ball downfield, if at all, today.
Yeah, and they didn't throw it down the field much. The longest play, because again, from people like Ed, who was watching mainly the offense, their longest play in 2 days was a 25-yard or so. It might have been 20. We're doing this on the fly.
Yeah, right. You're basically guessing.
Back shoulder to Johnny Wilson on their first play that they ran. That was their best play from a yardage standpoint in the entire 2 practices. And part of it is, I mean, like I said, they threw the ball so much in the flat, they're going to have to resod the flats on the one field to go back to practice. All they did. I mean, it was part of it is, and Kevin did mention last time he spoke, he did mention not showing things. Maybe they were doing it purposefully because they don't really care. But all we can do is report what we saw, and it wasn't pretty offensively, except for the inside zone.
Yeah.
With Barkley didn't play today in team drills.
John, let's walk through Drew Makuba a little bit right now. He's the guy, the rookie second rounder this year, expected. I mean, kind of, at least I thought the GPS might be set on him to be the safety. Now it looks like it's going to be Sidney Brown. But how did Makuba look today? I know he got beat by Njoku on a touchdown throw, but outside of that, Makuba today, how did he look?
Yeah, he wasn't in Njoku. Njoku was Shahad, and then
Edward,
and then Reed. Yeah. Well, it was Reed and Jihad. And with Makuba, it was Harold Fannin. He beat him for the touchdown.
Because Ed might have messed that up. Not to call that out on the air, but
no, but that's right. I do it. Everybody does it.
Yeah,
but right. it was Fannin. And Njoku was Njoku had a touchdown. He probably just conflated the 2 touchdowns, but they both had touchdowns. But Fannin was the guy who beat Makuba. And I mean, he struggles with guys who have size, And he's got to figure that out because it's going to continue.
Right, it's a reality.
Yeah.
Yale says Fannin has 100 pounds of Makuba, and Yale, you're right, but the problem is most guys he plays up against are going to have about 100 pounds on him.
Well, he don't have 100 pounds on him.
Well, whatever it is, 50
yeah.
or 60 pounds on him probably.
And he's actually one of the smaller tight ends. And Njoku would be the guy who, is completely.
Njoku probably has 100 on him.
Yeah. And Dallas, even here in practice, has given him fits because he's, so big and physical. But Fannin's a really good receiver. Played for Scott Loeffler at
I was gonna say that.
Bowling Green. But the knock on him is he's undersized at tight end for a tight end. But Njoku's the monster. Yeah, I don't think he's ready to play right away, Makuba. I mean. But, part of that is he was hurt. He missed a bunch of practices. He missed 6 total practices when you talk about team drills. And, he's also the 64th pick in the draft. He's not, he's not. And some people think
he wasn't a blue chip player, right?
No, and some people think the Eagles overdrafted him because they were looking for a specific type of player. And what the Eagles like about Makuba is they think he's very comfortable in space, as I said. He's a lot of safeties panic when they're in space with receivers who are much faster and obviously much more gifted from a ball skill standpoint. He's very comfortable in space. That's what they like about him. And the other stuff, the run support, the run fits, the, getting boxed out by a big tight end in the red zone. That's the stuff you have to see if he can do. When he's in space, he's probably better than most safeties, but you got to get him up to speed with the other stuff.
We'll see how that all shakes out. John, this might be a tough question for you to answer, but I've been trying to think about this defense, and I think it's tough because I think most people by default compare them to what the defense was at the conclusion of last year, which was their pinnacle, their best game on an incredible year. And they were the number 1 overall defense in football and stopped Mahomes and Reed. Couldn't get past half field for 9 or 10 drives it was. So I don't think we can compare the defense in August to that team. Can we? Shouldn't. You shouldn't. I'm just saying, could you try and compare the defense right now on August 14th to where the defense was last year at this time? You remember the first 4 weeks. I mean, that didn't look like the best defense in football in the first 4 weeks. It takes time.
No.
How is this defense right now compared to where the defense was at this time last year? Because I think it's unfair to compare them to the finished product of last year's team. This team is at the very beginning stages.
Well, I think, and Zach Bond has talked about this, and I think for the guys that were here, they're probably ahead because of, being in a big scheme for a year. So the guys that are returning, they're probably ahead. The problem is you got a bunch of guys who are either new or haven't played before, and they're still in the midst of learning what is, by NFL standards, a pretty complicated defense, modern NFL standards. So I think it depends how you look at it. I think, the Carters, the Davises, the Ajomos, Nolan, they've been here. Those guys, they're probably ahead of where they were last year at this time. And the new guys are probably behind what was here last year because they're just not as good. It was all new for Slay, but Slay's a veteran player. It was all new for Nakobe, and even though he wasn't a veteran proven player at the time, high football IQ, that type of thing.
Right.
A lot of success in college, yada, yada, yada. CJ, same thing, veteran player. Isaiah had played in Indy. Oren Burks, veteran player, if you want to go all the way down to those guys. And obviously, at the top, the five starters. So it, but to your point, even Vic acknowledged he didn't know how good that defense was last year, until week 6 or week 7, when he thought that was the first time he said he thought,
Right.
all right, we might have something here. And Quinion and Cooper were completely unproven as rookies.
Exactly.
So, but in the case of Cooper, it took a while for us to see him. But in the case of Quinion, it was evident he was going to be a day one starter from day one of training camp. Certainly not the same with the younger cornerbacks that they have now, who are not even rookies, but unproven players.
Very unproven, and I don't think showing nearly as much as the guys did last year at this time. But it's tough for me to remember exactly where we were at this point. John, question on the offense here. AJ Brown continues to miss, and I am with you and Saquon. I don't have worries about AJ Brown, but my contention or my worry would be this. This offense is not getting many reps this summer, John, all out there together. I mean, even this summer, John, you remember a tweet from A.J. Brown, I'm looking for a quarterback in the area to throw. And I have no problem with him doing that, but they didn't work much together in the summer. I know Jalen worked with Jahan Dotson. They're not getting many reps all on the field together right now in training camp. I mean, is the first time they're all going to be out there really getting a chance to, find cohesion in the regular season week 1? Any concern with that?
Well, I think almost from the standpoint of, the first couple games, the first 2 games is what everyone says. It's sort of like the new preseason. So I think you're going to see some ugliness, just like you did last year. But no, I'm not too worried about it, especially when you think about Devontae specifically and AJ. I mean, and Nick got asked that question this morning. Is it concerning that those two haven't had many reps on the field together? And I'm like Saquon on that. It's like, who cares? It's AJ and Devontae.
Well, I'm not talking about his ability. I'm talking about, being on the same page as
but
your
they know, but they're on the same page with Jalen, and they know what they're doing.
Well, they did have the 29th ranked passing offense last year, John.
Well, yeah, but that's a volume thing. If they decided to throw it, they could have been, much higher. But, they probably wouldn't have been as successful. Their whole mentality last year was, if we don't turn the ball over, we're going to win.
Right.
And it proved to be right. Like, I don't think you're right in saying the number is correct, and they had a bottom 5 passing offense by mundane statistical numbers.
Right.
But if they decided to play a different way, they could probably have a top 10 passing offense.
Well, they could, but one of the reasons that they didn't have that passing offense is because the first 4 weeks were so putrid and ugly that they had a meeting at the bye week with the offensive lineman, and then it just worked so good they never had to change. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that the Green Bay game, the game in Brazil, was ugly, and they still managed to win it, but it was ugly, and from a turnover standpoint, and there were more turnovers that if Green Bay caught the ball, they could have had. So I think that freaked them out a little bit. But man, boy, that first game, I've said it pretty consistently for the people that don't like me because they don't think I like Jalen Hurts, which is not the case. I've said it pretty consistently, and I hope those people listen because I've said it all the time. Right. I thought that was completely unfair to Jalen Hurts. You're going to fucking Brazil,
Sao Paulo.
On week 1 of the, that's a difficult trip. Not to make excuses because he didn't play well, but that's a difficult trip.
Well, I agree. I agree. But remember, people did talk about the 7 turnovers in the first 4 games and all those things.
Well, yeah. And that's what I thought it was completely unfair. I thought they overreacted to it, but they won. So, they're not going to see it that way.
Yeah, right.
but I still think they overreacted to it. You know, he's always been, and I've been consistent with that as well. He's always been very ball security conscious. But I think last year they went over to, you know, not taking enough chances, basically. In understanding that they were going to win if they didn't turn the ball over. And they were right. So that's, you know, where they pop out their chest and said, proof is in the pudding.
Right. You mentioned it's a volume thing last year, John. And I agree with you, by the way. You look at Jalen's numbers, they were actually pretty good efficiency-wise, rating-wise, and all those different things. But what's your confidence level if that volume does increase, that it will remain as effective? Because I will say this, you know, and I know a lot of fans will have a problem with this conversation, but I don't think it's a negative conversation. I just think there's a reality to, if your defense doesn't perform at a historic level like it did last year, obviously your offense is going to have to make up for more of that, and it might need to come in the form of a passing game. What's your confidence level if the volume increases, the efficiency will rise with it or stay with it?
Well, you know, again, it depends what you're measuring, because the more you throw the ball, the more you're going to turn it over. And I think a lot of people will boil it down to that, you know, which is not always the way you should be looking at things. I mean, sometimes you have to throw the ball to win games. The Eagles found a formula where they didn't have to throw the ball to win games. And that's rare. So if you want to stipulate that's not going to happen again, then you have to acknowledge the volume has to go up on the passing game. And when the volume goes up on the passing game, you have to accept the fact that there's going to be a few more turnovers, interceptions, fumbles, strip sacks, whatever. That's just the nature of it. So, you know, the goofy completion percentage, yardage, you know, that kind of stuff are much less important than the efficiency, the advanced stats, you know, how efficient are you playing, things like that. What's the success, the passing success rate, they call it, yada, yada, all these advanced stats that the nerds have taken over every sport.
Yeah.
But, you know, you know, Jalen's passing success rate was higher in 2023 than it was in 2024, which is, you know, blows people's minds.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem I think Jalen had in 23 was really just the turnovers, right? I mean, he turned the ball over a lot more in 23, but other than that, he had a pretty good year.
Yeah, well, I've argued he had a better year individually in 2023
Right.
than 2020. And people look at me like I'm insane. He had his best year was 2022. His second best year is 2023. And then you can debate 2024 versus 2021.
Well, how much of that falls to that volume comment you mentioned?
Well, I think more of it depends. The volume is what happened in you know, 2023. So when he had 15 interceptions, which was uncharacteristic. And again, if you break some of them down, there are a couple of them that I always remember. They stick in my head. The Jets game was one, and that might have been the worst interception I've ever seen Jalen Hurts throw. It was just completely uncharacteristic, wasn't needed. One of his poorest throws of his career. And then the Seattle game where he and AJ went off script. They probably were going to win that game if they just didn't get a little bit too greedy. So, you know, if you break it down every single one, but he threw the ball 538 times in 2023. He threw the ball 361 times in 2024. So that is, you know, 170, whatever, the 178 passes, somewhere in that range. More. You're going to go 178 passes without turning it over? Does that seem logical to anyone? You know, and it could be interception, could be as I said, fumble, strip sack, whatever.
Right.
178 more times dropping back. Those are the kinds of things I think people don't factor in. Plus, but defense, which was not number one, but number closer to 32 than 31st in passing defense, 26th or 27th overall. So they had to go try to win games in a different way. And when you're down 7 points and it's 4th down and whatever, and the game's on the line, you're going to take a chance. It's all pretty logical.
Yeah, right. Makes sense what you're saying.
So, if the defense regresses, and I don't think they will regress to that point, but if the defense does regress to the 2023 level, well, they're going to have to throw the ball a hell of a lot more. That has nothing to do with Kevin Patullo or Nick Sirianni or Jeffrey Lurie wanting it. Nothing to do. If you're behind, you have to throw.
Right. Makes sense.
So, as long as their defense plays at a high level, as long as Saquon Barkley plays at a high level, they can continue to play the way they played last year. If it doesn't work to the same level, you're going to see some shifts.
We'll see how it all shakes out this year. Eagles got beaten up a little bit today at practice by the Cleveland Browns. All right. Elliott Shore-Parks dubbed the Browns the winner. John says he doesn't like to pick a winner. That's not the point of practice. I agree with John, but nonetheless, the Eagles did kind of get their ass beat today and calling a spade a spade. We'll get to some super chats here. We'll get to our first commercial break. And
I think Elliott's got them at 10-3 in the Nick Sirianni era. So I think they were 8-0. So they've lost. They're in a losing streak, man.
What was yesterday counted as a loss or a win by Elliott? I think win, right?
I think win.
1-1 this year. Good stuff. Let's go to some super chats here. HKP checking in. What's up, brother? Appreciate you being here. Blessed to be able to catch some of the show on my break. Shout out to Big Z and J Mac. Great coverage as usual. HKP, thank you, brother. Keep working hard. Appreciate you checking in on your break. Carson Denniston. What's up, Carson? Big Z, how do I join JAKIB Nation? Go Birds. Go Birds, brother. To join the channel, you actually have to use a browser. I know it's like a pain in the ass. Most people are on their iPhones, but Apple doesn't like Google. Google doesn't like Apple. Apple doesn't, for some reason, let you join or become a member on a channel through their YouTube app. So you go on your browser, on your computer. I know it's a pain in the ass. And there's a join button on our page, and you can become a member that way. So that's how you do it, Carson. Thanks for the super chat, brother. Brandon Lewis says, how the F you get benched in practice? It's a good question.
Well, he didn't get benched. He played, but, from where he was, he got benched. And he was getting, sometimes it was 8-6, I believe, coming into today. Adoree Jackson got the first rep. A lot of people are first rep watchers. So when you see Adoree go out there first, because Kelly was out there first yesterday, it's not a surprise. But then the other one rotates in with the first team.
Yeah.
That part didn't happen today.
Yeah, that's kind of a benching then. I mean, I know it's not a legitimate benching because it's practice, but it's a practice benching.
Yeah. But that's bad enough because you're saying, well, Jacorian Bennett, they're trying to see what he can do. So maybe it's just that. But then when the second team came in and it's Jacorian Bennett and Mac McWilliams, who had been playing slot and has just moved back out to the outside over the past couple of days, well, then your antenna goes up even further.
Right.
Like Vic's trying to throw everything against the wall and see if something sticks. And again, maybe it's just trying to light a fire under Kelly Ringo. That could be part of it as well. But right now, it's like He's trying everything except Eli Ricks, which I can only assume is because Eli can't run like they want. They want more speed on the outside.
Right. Clear. That's what they want on the outside. But sounds like a benching to me. But I hear you, Brandon. I'm with you, brother. Appreciate the super chat. Jason Gates checking in. What's up, Jason? He says, "Hey guys, I am rarely able to catch you live, but Ken tonight just wanted to say it's been great getting the preseason breakdown from you. Thanks, go Birds." Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that, my man.
Yeah. By the way, this is an interesting thing because I'm reading somebody else's coverage about Adoree Jackson, who gave up a long completion to Jerry Jeudy. This is the fear of practice, because I was right there, and Adoree went for the ball, and it was probably a mistake, and he didn't get it, and Jeudy caught the ball, but the official was right there, and he waved it out of bounds. So it didn't count, but a lot of people thought it counted, because if you were not, you got to be right. I just happened to be in the right position, and he immediately waved it right out of bounds. So I didn't hold that against Adoree, because, he's a veteran guy.
Yeah,
he's a veteran guy. He understands where in theory, the sideline is. Maybe he didn't, but that's the way it worked out. But yeah,
I think you got to give him that benefit of the doubt. I mean, the sideline, you got to play inside the bounds. That's it. That's the rule.
Not a great day for the cornerbacks.
No,
I would say overall.
John, what's missing on Ringo, man? What are you seeing? Like what's?
Well, I've said it pretty consistently. He's in a position to make plays, and he doesn't make plays. So it could be, I don't think he tracks the football well. I don't. That was the problem Nelson had on offense, Nelson Aguilar. Some guys just don't track the football well. I think that's part of the problem. I think he's a little bit too handsy. So when he's in a position, oftentimes we talked about what the Eagles liked about McCoobie. He's very calm in space. Most people get jittery. They're like, oh shit, I'm in space with Jerry Jeudy or somebody like that. And they go,
or Jamar Chase. And before you know it, you're eating his dirt off the back of his boots.
and you start losing your technique because you're worried about the balls coming your way and that kind of thing. So, it's easier said than done to fix that stuff. But the positive is he's in position to make the play a lot. And if it clicks, you can see, all right, because like I said, when you really get with cornerbacks, for me, like if you're getting beat and you're getting given up constant separation, like he doesn't give up a ton of separation. There's especially when it's outside the numbers, there's sometimes when in one-on-ones he gets, some of the in-breaking routes he has difficulty with, but there's not that kind of open space in a real game. So that's why Vic doesn't pay much attention to one-on-ones, but he's usually in a position to make the play, and he doesn't make the play, which is not a positive, but it's worse than being not in a position to make the play, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because if you're just getting beat, then it's like, all right, game over. But I think he's not that guy, and he's probably lost confidence. Let's be honest. It's a very difficult position to play, man. I mean, God love you, fans. I mean, you're the reason this show exists, but I mean, you guys would shit on Slay. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. So you're going to be shitting on Ringo or Bennett or anybody else who's playing that position this year, because they're not going to be as good.
No, they're not. Good stuff there. We'll get to our commercial break coming up here. Jason, thanks for the super chat. Thanks, everybody, for the super chats tonight. Thank you all for being here tonight. We got a great crowd in here for a Thursday nightcap edition Birds 365. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to drop your comment in the chat below if you want to hear from us or talk with us, or drop your comment after the fact if you're listening to the podcast. Don't forget to rate the show, and we thank you for listening on the podcast tonight. And then one last call to our members. We're adding up a lot of members right now. We appreciate all those coming back in and retiring the gray status and becoming green. We appreciate that, the member status. So you can do that on your computer. Click that join button and join JAKIB Nation to be a part of the giveaways all year long. Something I still have, guys. I never gave them away last year. John. I got 5 of the Super Bowl Eagles caps. So we're going to give away those. We got plenty of stuff we'll be giving away this year. So appreciate all of you guys for being here. Hit that like button. We'll be right back in 3 minutes on Birds 365.